Welcome to Hometown Cable. Our program's called What's Going On Here. I'm Bob Venne, Calvin Castine on the camera, and another exciting program we hope for you today because we have someone that's very well known, and we're talking with Sam Trombley. Hi, Sam.
Good morning, Bob and Calvin. Nice to have you guys up.
Thank you. That means that we're in Ellenburg, New York, and we're here for a couple of reasons. Ellenburg Depot.
Well, this
Halfway
is just Ellenburg Corners.
Right, yes, Ellenburg Corners. We're here for a couple of reasons. Number one, a very interesting person that we've seen in the paper. We've seen him at the various functions, and we know about his campground here. We want to talk about that. We want to find out what happens. What do you do at campgrounds? And is it all fun, all profit? It must be. I heard that, Sam.
Bob, would you believe it's ironic how you say that? Because here about a month ago there was a guy that came in to spend the weekend, and on to us, he was here as a spectator. His interest was to offer to buy the place, so he came Sunday before he left, and he said, "I got to tell you why I was here." He said, "I thought I'd be interested in owning a campground," but he said, "After seeing you going around day and night through the weekend," he said, "that's too much work for me." And nobody realizes, it's 7 days, 7 nights. Right now, this is one of the reasons why my wife is sick. When it comes to this time of the year, we're down and you're tired, played out, and the least little sickness, it goes against you. Just thank God I'm not sick.
Right. I mean, I know if you get, it's like a farmer. When you get sick, your cows still have to be milked.
Exactly.
As you probably know. Another reason why we're here, of course, is because we'd like to welcome Ellenburg area to Hometown Cable. We understand there's over 100 people on this 1st of September already hooked up and receiving Hometown Cable, and who better to be the first show from Ellenburg than, not really the first show, a lot of the Northern Adirondack games that Calvin does, but it's the first program for what's going on here.
Yeah, we surely appreciate that, and believe me, I think I'm going to save a little money. I won't have to buy all these tapes from Calvin here. We will be able to view it right on our own monitors. And
we didn't tell you, but the way we have a deal with new channels, that anybody's show that we're showing, you don't get that. You can't get that one that day.
Oh,
you didn't know that?
No. Right. A week later wouldn't matter.
All right.
Matter of fact, I was talking with one of the county officials last night, and so he was complimenting on the Hometown Cable how he didn't have to attend the meetings because Calvin makes the meetings, and he can sit at home at his convenience and watch what went on. And
we hope that many of the Ellenburg people will appreciate all that you do for your area. Altona already does appreciate it. They see it. What you do down at the county meetings, at the legislature. You are a legislator from Area 2.
Exactly.
And how long have you been a legislator?
I'm on my 11th year.
11th year?
Yeah, and then, of course, it's another campaign year this year. Every 2 years we have to run, so we're out and running again.
As I recall, a few of those you haven't had any competition.
No competition this year, and plus
none again this year?
No. Last year I had opposition, but this year I don't have one. But I don't know if it's good or bad. I'm going to miss the interview. I used to always look forward for the interview, but they have me on 4 lines. The Conservative Party came up and asked if I wouldn't represent their line, and they did all the legwork for me. And the Right to Life people, they did the same. And the Conservative and the Liberal and Republican, they have me on 4 lines this year.
4 lines. Yeah. All right. What we'd like to know a little bit about, first of all, is who is Sam Trombley? Where are you from, Sam? And tell us about your background.
Oh, just born and brought up right here in Ellenburg. And
that's too quick. You got to tell me more than that. You were born right here in the corners on a farm, or where?
I was born in Ellenburg Center on a farm. My father had a large farm, and I was the only boy out of 7. I have six sisters. And, of course, they pulled me out of school early. My father took sick at the age of 49 and died at 51 with cancer. Left me with the farm. I managed the farm till I was put in the hospital. And when I came out of the hospital, my mother, had no choice but to sell the farm. And, of course, I was always in entertaining. And
what do you mean entertaining? Tell me.
I called a square dance caller, played guitar, and we had a band. And matter of fact, when I finished my story, and then of course I had to find another job, and of course carpentry was always my thing, and so Larry Carpenter, Larry Carpenter from Plattsburgh, when I was going around entertaining, step dancing, calling, and playing and stuff, he was a cop. He'd go and patrol these business places, and so anyway, I hadn't seen him for years. So when I was out of work and I got better, I went down to the Carpenters Union, and gee, by that time he was a company man for Cardinals Construction. And so we hadn't seen each other for about 4 years, and he said, "Gee, what are you doing here?" And I said, "Looking for a job." Well, he said, "I'm here to pick up a man. On the base. That's when the base was just." So so he picked me up. We got down there, and gee, no time at all. Within a month, I made company man. Of course, after working for $25 a week and making $1.65 an hour,
Wow.
I thought I was in heaven, And so the guys I remember quite well. They'd call me brown noser because they thought that I was overworking to make points, but that wasn't. We were accustomed to working, and so within no time at all, I was company man, and gee, I was sent out in Maine. And I built I was a foreman over the first missile shop that was built down there, and I ran jobs for Cardinals Construction. And so then I went in business, and then while I was down there, they had me they housed me at the Plymouth Hotel. And of course, my dancing was still pretty good then, and so I had never been out of the Plattsburgh area, and didn't even know what an MC was, And of course, we had to work from 7 to 3:30 out there because it gets dark real early. And so I had already had my supper and had a cocktail, and I was walking the corridor, and it's only 5:30. I said, "My God, what am I going to do with all my time?" And so I met this little guy in the corridor, and so he had dancing shoes on, and so I stopped to talk to him. So he said to me, "Do you know a little bit about dancing?" I said, "Just about enough. I'd like to try on your shoes." And of course, I never had a good pair of dancing shoes, and they had the double plates and everything. So he brings me up to his flat, and he pulls out this little table with a marble top. And gee, I just tapped them around a little bit, and I got the sound of it, and he turns on the hi-fi. And would you believe, from that night on, I was on his show, and they would have to get me out through the back door. They thought I was a real actor, and everybody was after me. They wanted to cut a piece of my hair. So they'd sneak me out the back kitchen, get me up to my room, but I was all winter. And then, of course, here my wife was home alone, and I had a racehorse, too, at that time, and a couple cows and no running water, or we didn't even own a bathroom. And here my wife was home, this is right in the middle of the winter, and drawing water and taking care of my cattle and the racehorse, and we had 2 kids, and there I was, entertaining. It made me feel a little guilty, but anyway, I got my room free out of it. And
you didn't feel guilty enough to stop it, or did you?
Well, I was there. I had to work, and it was extra monies. Yeah. And
I hope you younger people out there heard some of the things he said. Number one, $1.65 an hour. His wife was home with the racehorse, that shows a little bit of money there, but no indoor plumbing.
No outdoor bathroom.
And you're talking about what time here?
About 56, 57.
This is not easy living,
No.
Sam hasn't always had it apparently as easy as it looks like he has it now, but you're a worker.
It's still not easy, It's
of course not. You work. Now, what you were a tap dancer?
Oh yes.
Did you take lessons when you were young?
No, just my mom. My mom was a great tap dancer, and my dad used to love to tap dance. We all tap danced.
If we'd have known that, we'd have had him bring his shoes here and give us a little demonstration.
Yeah. No, I entertain every night at the clubhouse. Every Saturday night at the club.
Okay, well, don't get into that right yet. Okay, now, so you worked for somebody else as a carpenter along this time?
No, I own my construction business.
Then?
Then I was working for Cardinals.
Okay. So then you started your own somewhere along the line.
Part-time at night. Of course, I was serving my apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And so I served my 4 years apprentice, and I advanced 3 years apprenticeship in carpentry and 1 year in millwright. And then, of course, that's when the Atlas missiles were being built, and and then of course, that we got into bigger money after I got out of my apprenticeship, and then of course my wife got a job with ITT Kellogg, and so then that's how we got the money to build the house, and we just bought property.
Yeah. Where were you living at that time?
Just here, just below the, right on the turnpike, just off the turnpike.
All right.
We bought an old house there. And,
so you married whom?
Marie LaValle, a native of Moores.
LaValle. You're telling me she's from Moores.
Yeah.
As if I didn't know that all of the valleys and the Rabideaus are from...
Exactly. They're all related.
All right.
Nice people.
And how many children?
We have 6, 4 girls and 2 boys.
You weren't traveling all the time, were you?
Well, that's what my banker would tell me back then, and then of course when I got into the steel buildings, I had jobs going into, Lake Placid and down into Haas, and I had, 4 offices scattered around, and so every time he'd see my wife, she was pregnant, and so when I'd go into the bank, he'd call me in, he said, I can't figure this out. He said, your wife's always pregnant and you're never home. I won't tell you what I told him, but...
Yeah, if you're wondering, if you're still wondering why we're talking with Sam Trombley, you have to think over again, because he's that kind of a person, and he's already started talking about steel buildings. He's way ahead of me. All right, you started your construction company about when then?
Well, while I was serving my apprenticeship, I was taking jobs on the side, and then after, really what happened when they were building the Northway, I was the what they call the monkey.
That's early 1960s.
Yeah, and you'd climb the boom, when they drive the piles, and back then you had to put blocks in between, and so anyway, we had driven down. It was a season like what we had last year, a lot of rain. And I'd driven way down to Keysville 4 days in a row, and Gelly'd get down there, and they'd make a little circle with their feet. 3 drops of rain would fall in that circle. They'd send you back home. It was raining. You couldn't work in the rain. And so after my 4th night, I said, "Gee, I can't afford to keep."
And you don't
driving.
get paid when it rains. Exactly. You don't get paid.
Yeah. So the 4th night, I said, "Gee, I'm the only one that has to work outside." And so the guy operating the rig, he said, "You really want to work?" I said, "Yeah, And so they worked. And then the next night I went down, and gee, would you believe they had the Stewart there in the union, and they were going to blackball me because I requested working in the rain. And so anyway, I said, if this isn't communism, I don't know what is. So then that's when I went into business for myself, and then I just kept going. Like all these houses that you see here, that's my development. I built all those houses. Just about every new house in Ellenburg here I built.
Is that right? So you do general construction?
Oh yeah, that's what I was. I was a general contractor. Right. Well, like the pole lights in Champlain.
Okay, you built that. And, right. So how many people are working in your construction
Well, back
company?
then when I was going heavy, I had 35, 38 men. And of course, I was up in Lake Placid. I did the at Norwood School. I did the gymnasium up there, the border station up here in Cherubusco.
Oh, you were doing big job.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the fairgrounds in Malone. I did all the new steel.
So now you're still doing construction?
Well, now it's more or less just groundwork. The only inside building that I take care of is the school and the church, and because groundwork I can leave it, and where a building, if you got a roof, to go to a meeting, if you're building a building, you can't leave it if the roof is half on, and I'm too busy now with the legislature and the campground, and
this may be a 2-day affair right here we're talking. We'll take a short break and be right back to you. You're watching Hometown Cable. We're talking with Sam Trombley, and we're going to find out which Ellenburg we're really in. We're at the corners. We're going to find out why there are 3 of them in different names. We'll be right back.
Good.
Hey, we're back, and one thing I wanted to get into was Ellenburg. There are 3 Ellenburgs, so to speak.
Exactly. Ellenburg Center, Ellenburg Corners, and the depot.
So the first one you come to when you're coming from the east, or from Champlain area, is Ellenburg Depot.
Exactly.
And there was a train station there and so forth. That's probably why it was called the depot.
That's where it got its name, yeah.
And then Ellenburg or Ellenburg Corners, which is the right name for where you are right here?
Ellenburg Corners.
Ellenburg Corners, yes. Which is where the school is, and where you turn to go up onto the turnpike or toward Ellenburg Center.
Yeah,
the Ellenburg Center is not in the center.
I know.
The Ellenburg Corners is in the center. Yeah. Is that all right?
Yeah. And, this always amazed me, especially now with the bank. The bank is in Ellenburg Depot, and of course they use the address of the Northern Adirondack for Ellenburg Depot, and all their mail goes there. And we have a devil of a time to try to fight to keep our post office open here at the corners.
So there is a post office in each of the 3 places?
Exactly.
All right.
But, we've always had a problem keeping the post office open here, even though the school is the mass source of mail, and the mail all goes to Ellenburg Depot, but it should be right here where they can just walk to the post office. And
you were very instrumental, as I remember, in trying to keep that post office here when they were going to close the corners, right?
Yes, I guess 3 times that I can remember, and it hadn't been for the congressman, we wouldn't have been able to save it. And because of the volume of mail, we weren't getting enough volume. And so this is why I'd go to the school and I say, gee, even if you could split it, within the 2 post office, get the numbers up there. We got to save it. And
all right.
So we were fortunate to save it.
Okay, there's a flag coming around here, back and forth on us here, and please forgive my allergies this morning. I'm pretty well coughing, and I guess it's the ragweed in the west,
Yeah, yeah.
Sam. All right, we're talking about the middle 60s when you started your construction company and you started to do more of your work around the area. When did you decide to start what is known as the Ranchside Park Campground? How did that come about?
Well, of course, I built the lake down here at Blue Haven, Lake Roxanne. And and of course, I built just about everything down there. I built the first concession stand, and then, I built the house.
Okay, well, just stop right there.
Okay.
How do you build a lake?
Well, you have to dam it,
Oh, all right.
And of course, they were having a problem down there because they were right in the quicksand area, and they had contractors like Luck Brothers, big contractors come in, look to where the area where the spillway had to be installed, and gee, they couldn't even walk out there. And they said it's impossible to build a lake here if you can't even walk over the land, But so then they came to me because at that time they didn't think that I was large enough or had enough knowledge to do such a project other than housing. But anyway, I had worked at the Eisenhower Seaway, and we had the same conditions up there. And so I never forgot what we did. And so what had to be done? I got snow fence. And we rolled out the snow fence that we could walk out to where the dam was to be built, and then I had my guys dig a sizable hole. We would shore it as we would dig down, and the secret was to get below the water table and start pumping. And as soon as we started pumping, you wouldn't believe, within a week, I was coming in there with all types of equipment, and the dust was flying, and that earth was just like cement. But anyway, the problem that I had was they had these nut trees back in those early 1900s or late 1800s, and those nuts would get in between the mudsucker. Of course, I had to keep pumping 24 hours a day, so I had to keep a guy right on that pump 24 hours a day to make sure that those they were a hard shelled nut, and they would get in between the mudsucker, and the pump would lose its prime, and then I would have lost everything that I had. But anyway, I built the lake, and like I said, I got to meet a lot of the campers, and then seeing what he had there, and I'm looking around and at my area, and I said,
"You owned this land at the time?"
Yes, I own this side over here, but I didn't own the other side.
All right.
And so I said, gee, I would like to own my own lake too, and I like the kind of business, and I could see that it was a business that it was going to come in because taxes I knew was definitely going to increase, and the average people couldn't own 2 homes, a camp and their home back home. And so I knew back then that this was definitely going to be the future business and the future way of living. And so then that's when I came here, and I started to work on mine. But I wasn't going to build a lake until I was able to buy all the property over on the other side, because if I'd have built the lake, I'd have did nothing but increase the value of the property on the other side of the river. And so I was 10 years anyhow before I was able to buy it. But between time, I started working on the project, and of course, being an inspector, I forgot to tell you, I was also an inspector for Power Authority.
You must have had time off somewhere you had to fill in, right?
Yeah, days, and I worked this night, and so I was familiar with all the procedures, working on the water, because my first assignment with Power Authority was to build all the wetlands crossings and stream crossings from Messina down into Plattsburgh to put the secondary 230 line in, and which was basically built for the Air Force Base, with the 2 lines that gave a loop system. And well, anyway, before I got my assignment done, I was down around Beatmantown when it came time to build the substations, and so the guy that was being sent over from Africa to be assigned to the substation up here in Chateauguay, he passed away or took sick or something, and I'll never forget, it was on a Friday afternoon, so they called all us inspectors in for a meeting, and they called us on radio. We all had radios in our vehicles, and so we all met in Malone, and they interviewed us all, and gee, would you believe, a week later, I get my notice that I'm being assigned to build a substation in Willis, in Burke. And so I was there, that was a 3.5 year project. And this is an unmanned station. They can monitor everything from the powerhouse in Messina here in Willis, and if something goes wrong, the switches automatically break, and then of course that's where and then they wanted this built before the Olympics came into Lake Placid, because Lake Placid wasn't getting enough power, and they were really putting the pressure on. So there's a 115 line that goes to Lake Placid, and a 115 that went to Malone, and then of course the 230 line continued on down through. It bypasses the power station up there, and so with all this experience that I had with all these people, I knew that I had to take boring tests and have it all analyzed and get it approved, and even after they did approve it, the final hearing was at Ray Brook, and Gellies, would you believe, right up to the last minute, and this was about 10:30 at night, quarter to 11, and they're debating between the DEC department if they're going to allow me the permit or not. And so at the last minute, they said the only way we will approve it if you'll agree to build a fish ladder. So I had my engineer with me, George Copeland, who's dead now, and so he said to me, he said, "Sam, can you afford to put in a fish ladder?" Well, I said, it wasn't only to build a lake for this type of business. I also wanted to put in my turbine to generate my own power. And I said, well, it means that I'll have to let my turbine go and put the money towards the fish ladder, and which I did, and I still don't have my turbine in, but I got the fish ladder and I got the lake, and so that's how I got the lake built. And so then they said a fish ladder, but surprisingly, when we asked for the plans, without ever having a fish ladder in Region 5, nobody had a plan. They had to send down to Maine and to get the plans, because evidently they had fish ladders in Maine. So, and Charlie Gardefee from DEC, if he ever sees this, he'll appreciate this. He's always happy to say that Sam Trombley built the first fish ladder in Region 5.
Well, this is well located, of course, right on Route 11, a very valuable piece of land on the south side of Route 11, nearly across from the school, Northern Adirondack, which has an Ellenburg Depot address, but still is in Ellenburg Corners.
Yes.
All right. I've got to tell you, because off camera, as we were just starting this segment, Calvin said, and I got to say this because he said respectfully, he says, do you feel that he and I are on a 33 1/3 speed like you would on a recorder, or I think, and Sam's going on a 45 or 78. He just goes and goes. We're gonna have to stop him here along the way or something. But a very interesting person, Sam Trombley. We intend to walk around the grounds, but before we do, overall, you have areas where you have permanent campers.
Yes.
On the south side.
Yes.
About how many would you say how many spots do you have?
Permanents, we have approximately 150 permanents.
150?
I would have to go back and count. I'm using approximately.
Approximately is all we care.
And then 50 with the, with the full service hookup. And then as far as tent sites, as you look around, I would say as many tent sites as you want. See, that's this area over here that's undeveloped over there.
Okay. But right now you can handle a couple of 300 tents easily?
Yes.
And overnight RV parking and trailer parking overnight?
Yes. And we have them situated so that, the overnighters don't interfere with the with the seasonals, and matter of fact, I had a guy here early this spring and wanting to know who the architect was who designed everything. Well, I said to let you know, I'm.
It was your wife.
No, I said I'm awfully poor, and I said when you're poor, you have to. No, I designed it. I built it. I planted every tree.
I was going to say, in addition to all those spots, look at all those trees out there.
Those are trees that I planted.
And lots of shade, which is in my favor. And then in addition to that, you have a lake over the back you will look at.
We'll see later.
You have a swimming pool where we're standing right now with a kind of a cabana with a roof over here where you can sit here. And he has a barber's chair here where he gets his hair done. Sam gets his hair done right here, Sam?
Right, while I'm watching, looking over the pool here.
Are you also the lifeguard?
Well, if nobody else is here on Sundays, I'll come out and
well, you don't want to waste any time, of course.
And,
now, this big building is what?
Well, this here is their arcade room, which you'll
recreation
see
and so forth?
The front part and the back part is my shop.
All right. And we have a restaurant?
The diner and office is up front.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's open to the public as well as your people?
Yeah. And when you were talking about a barber, this back part here, we had a beauty shop there at one time, but the lady got married and.
Well, I thought maybe your wife did that in her spare time. No, all right. And over here you have your
the clubhouse.
Club.
Yes.
Now, what is that for?
Well, the clubhouse every Saturday night. We have a live Western country band called Young Country, and they just do a great job entertaining. And then we also have receptions, weddings, anniversaries.
Okay, so that's not just for your park. That's
for everybody.
Okay.
Everything outside of the outside the fence is for everybody.
Okay.
They're all welcome. And I just want to mention one thing.
Yeah?
When you said this is a valuable piece of land, I just wanted to bring to your attention, would you believe when I bought this, it was nothing but a swamp. They couldn't even graze cattle out here. Where the clubhouse is standing, that's on top of 6 feet of fill. I had to build a stone wall, which you'll see right where that trailer is now, way up to the end to hold my fill. I drew fill and I drew fill in there like you wouldn't believe. And but this was all swamp. I got it all well drained now. As you know, last night we had a real downpour. You don't see any water,
no.
So I got it all draining pretty good. That's what I spent my money on in time for the first 5 to 6 years, is just drainage to get my ground drained. I knew I had to drain the ground because, I mean, they're coming in with units now. Yeah. These RV units are 45, 60 feet long. They're taking up 2 sites. When we first started, the health law was that your sites had to be 2,500 square feet, 50 by 50. But yeah, these units coming in now, and if they're towing their car, they're taking up 2 sites. They're almost 100 feet long.
You're not the assessor also, are you?
No, thank God for that.
So this isn't really so valuable after all. This land is not so valuable, right?
No.
Is that right? We're going to move along to another site. Thank you very much. Not another site, but before we do, we watched Sam do something here as just we were waiting to start this interview. And tell us what you did, first of all.
Okay, well, the first thing we have to do is, the pools, they're real critical, and or the health department is on them, and of course we are too. So we have to test it 3 times a day. So the first thing I do is get out here, you backwash it, you get all the air down, you get your pressure down, and then
wait, and you also had your skimmer or whatever you were cleaning out completely.
Yes, yeah. Like this morning, I had a large frog in there. My pressure was way up. So I said, don't tell me where's my problem this morning. So I came out and I had a huge frog in my skimmer.
That came from Malone with the big wind they had last night.
So anyway, so you were asking about the testing, and then of course we have to test, and of course this year is the chlorine.
All right, so you fill both of these with water.
Yes, up to this level right
all right.
Here, yeah. And then we have, for the chlorine, we have a pill that tells us, just what our chlorine reading is, and it has to fall right in within one of these 3 lines.
Yeah, the colors match the colors on the side, which is your test.
Yeah.
And then and this one is also?
The same thing, and this here's for your pH over here, you see.
Okay, you can see that it's falling right between these 2 in here, which is right on.
Right on.
And you test that 3 times a day?
The pool, morning, noon, and night.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the wells, once a day. For drinking water.
For drinking water, that's your well. You have, of course, there's no city water out here, right?
No, this is our problem. Gee, if we only had village water and village sewer, even the sewer, the water is no problem. I mean, we get water at 30 feet here. I went, 100 because I wanted good commercial wells. I'll show you the size of my water tanks. But anyway, if we had sewer, village sewer, it would be a real plus.
So you have a hookup for water and sewer at every one of those 150 permanent places, and also the others too.
Yes.
Okay, you had public bathrooms too?
Oh yeah.
I mean, for the tents and so forth?
Oh, I have more bathroom. Would you believe a private owner, and this is always my argument with the state parks, they're running competition with private enterprise, and they don't have to live up to the same standards, or they didn't unless they change it. We can't exceed 300 feet from one bathhouse to the next bathhouse.
Is that right?
And I've never been into a state park, but guys tell me they've been in there. I mean, gee, they don't even have flushing water. They just have the outdoor johns.
Yeah.
But gee, if a private enterprise could never operate under their requirements.
So as you go around in your park, you must look at these bathrooms with envy, because your first 25 or 30 years, you didn't have indoor plumbing. Exactly. You didn't have those nice plumbing facilities.
Exactly, and this is what upsets me when when my lady has to stand outside up to 45 minutes waiting for somebody to take a shower before she can go in and clean. I mean, they're just wasting it, and we were born and brought up to conserve and value water.
Okay, we'll be right back. You're watching Hometown Cable. And again, welcome to the people from the Ellenburg Depot, Ellenburg Center area who are on new channels and now also can watch our Hometown Cable channel. It's on every day at 1 p.m., 4:30, 8 p.m., midnight, and 8 the following morning. The same program 5 times. And if you'll watch other parts of this program, you'll see that one way to continue to see these types of programs and sports and all the other things, and so you can see your championship cheerleading teams from Northern Adirondack, is to become a patron of Hometown Cable. You'll see that later in this program. Thanks for watching. While we're here doing a story, you will see that Sam Trombley is still making money. Look at him here. He's had a call for some propane. He has propane tanks here. That's all I know about it. What do you have? What are these? What is this tank?
This is propane gas. That's a 1,000-gallon tank, and it's a business I really didn't want to get into because of the insurance costs and all of this. But for the convenience of the campers, it's a must. You know, 'cause, we do have another supplier in town, but they're not open on Sundays or Saturday nights or evenings, and that's when the campers come in, on Friday night, and that's when they need it. So it was a must. I had to do it.
So you fill those tanks, those small tanks,
yes,
with this unit here?
Yes, exactly.
And they pay for this by how? By the gallon, by the pound?
Well, they can go by the pound both ways. You see, we have the scales here.
Okay.
Or else we have the gauge right here by the gallon.
By the gallon.
But
okay.
This is the most honest way, because see, this hose right here weighs about 2 pounds.
Oh my, yes.
So if I was to put a tank there, and
yep,
and I could fool the people, but this way here,
okay,
they can see exactly what they're getting and what.
And
how
many pounds will how many
like
gallons?
That's right here. That's a 30-pounder right there.
And how many gallons?
That'll hold 7.7. I'll show you.
Gallons.
Either 7.7, 7.8. They run.
Okay.
They vary a little bit.
Okay, let's just see what he's going to do here.
You'll look for a W. You look for a WC here.
WC 66.
So this one here is 66.
66 gallons.
Yeah.
That right, gallons.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't have to purge it because there's already some in there.
Okay, there's already some in, so you don't want any air in there, right?
Yeah, but
okay.
If there wouldn't be any gas left in there, I would have to purge it.
You have to purge it, take the air out.
Exactly.
Okay. Can you see, Calvin? You turn that just a little bit so you can see what you're doing. Yeah. There you go.
Now see, if I would be filling his unit, see where that red cap is?
Yes.
I would have to take the nozzle off from here, and I could
that
fill
one. Okay. You'll notice with a gas connection that the thread is a left-handed thread, not a right-handed thread. So you can't put something wrong.
And then of course you need gloves because that freeze your hand.
Oh, okay.
Oh, come on, sweetheart, you can swing it around faster than that. There we go. Oh, this one here is gonna. All tanks are a little bit different.
Now something is leaking slightly. What?
Yeah, well, it's to bleed it out, you know.
Oh, you're bleeding now. You're not putting it in right now.
Yes, it's going
you
in, but
okay.
I'm bleeding a little bit, you know.
Okay.
In case if there's any moisture in there, it'll blow that moisture out. See, a lot of the guys, if you go to the landfills, you'll see barbecuers, and they think their barbecuer is gone, but most of the time their problem is that they're getting condensation in there, and so that's what you do. You blow it out.
Now, if he had his shoes on, we could have him tap dance while he does this.
Yeah, it's a waste of time, really.
A waste of time. Just standing around, I think he'd be reading. Well, he's not. He's talking with us.
Now, so you know that it's automatically getting up there when she's blowing.
Look at how white that is getting right there. That's really cold.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that'll freeze the.
Now you use this for cooking or something?
Cooking, heating a hot water heater.
How often do you have to fill a tank like this?
Well, really when you're on the road, it's about every 10 days, something like that.
You fill only one every 10 days?
Yeah, one every 10 days.
Are you taking off both or the other one a backup?
Well, I'm using the other one right now.
Okay.
It's full.
It's full.
This just emptied out.
So you always have one full, you try to fill it as soon as possible?
Yeah, I try to do it right away so I don't forget it and everything like that. So I'm always, in case I get caught in a storm or something.
Okay, where are you from?
California.
California. Well, welcome to Northern New York.
Yeah,
This
it's
is a
a
local
great
hometown
place, yeah.
cable. We're doing a story here on Sam today here at the park.
You get to breathe around here with all your trees.
You like this, huh?
keeping
Whereabouts
it
in
smooth.
California?
Southern California, Beaumont, California.
Beaumont, California. How far from San Diego are you?
Oh, about 100 miles.
100 miles
Yeah.
north, northeast?
It's north of San Diego, and then about 30 miles to Palm Springs east, and then Lake Arrowhead and Big Bear to the north,
Uh-huh.
then Los Angeles to the west.
Ever been up here before?
We've driven through on the turnpike about 3 or 4 years ago, coming out of D.C. just to
You
check
come
it out.
up north that often from California?
Oh no!
Oh, oh no?
We just wanted to spend some time in New England. I have a son in Connecticut now,
Uh-huh.
and we visited him, and then we have some friends in Vermont, and then we stopped and saw them, and then we've been camping different spots,
Good.
seeing how the air, how things go on the East Coast, and there's it's a different lifestyle, and you learn how to get along with the Easterners.
Oh, yeah? Well, tell me.
As opposed to the Westerners, it's a little bit different style.
When you cook every day, is that a lady's job or is that the man's job, or do you share?
We share.
You share cooking?
Yeah, yeah.
Huh? I see she's smiling in the truck as I ask this question.
Yeah, she likes to keep everything just so in the trailer.
Okay.
So I let her cook most
You
of
let her
the
cook
time,
most of it? Well, yeah.
You don't want to mess
we
up.
have to let her
I
cook.
don't want to
once in
put anything in the wrong spot, you know.
We're at the park in Ellenberg Corners. We'll be right back. Thanks for watching Hometown Cable. Well, we've just moved over for a very quick view of the lake that you built, and it's called?
Lake Lynn.
Lake Lynn. Now,
Yeah.
why is it called Lake Lynn?
Well, Lynn was born that year, the year that I got the permit, and so we thought it'd be kind of nice to name the lake after her. And
That's one of your daughters?
yes.
Okay.
And
I see you've got animals out there, too. Look at
ducks,
the
gee,
ducks.
we
Look at
have a
them.
lot of ducks this year, and then of course, you see in the paper where in Saranac Lake they were asking the campers not to feed them, and I'm sure I got some that feeds them here, and that's probably the reason why they're not migrating. They're just staying right here.
Uh-huh.
But
Well,
the kids like them.
Okay, so this part of yours across the water too over. That's all your
Yes.
camping area?
Oh yes, oh yeah. I go way over to on Route 190 over
Okay. Now this is a dam that you obviously had to
there.
build.
Exactly.
And that's 20 years plus ago, right?
Yeah, just about. I think it was 74. I have it imprinted in the by the fish ladder over there,
Uh-huh.
which you'll be seeing later.
Okay.
But you're pretty close.
All right, we're going to go around the other side. We wanted you to get this view here because we can't cross right here. Now you were
Well,
talking about a footbridge.
Yes. I had my footbridge at the time of the construction. As you can see, the pins are still in the
Those holes
in the spillway, but that's the way it was designed, and I questioned it at the time, and they said, it would never go, but the first spring when the ice went down through it, just
took it right out, huh?
Yeah. So as you can see, I have my anchors down there, and I went down and took a look at the footbridge in Plattsburgh down
Right.
across from City Hall,
Right.
and so I got some real good ideas, and matter of fact, I have all the design there now, and these will be the anchors. My cables will be coming across the steel anchors here that
Right,
you see.
and that'll go over to the other
Colliers,
side, yeah.
Go over to the other side, so you'll be on cable.
It's going to be it's long.
Yeah,
You take-
120 feet
120 feet across.
from wing wall to wing wall.
Yep.
But it's it'll be a convenience for those to walk across, and then it'll add to it too.
Yes. Oh, also for you, if you want to go across for some reason.
Exactly.
Do you have to do you keep the grass cut over there too?
It's optional. The seasonals can either cut their own or they hire one of my guys. So it's about 50-50. 50% of them mows their own, and then the other 50% they hire us to do.
On the 50% that cut their own, you don't have much occasion to go visit those people at all,
Well-
unless something's wrong.
Well, it's ironic how you mention that. I mean, a lot of them would like to visit with me, but like I tell them, if each one of you would talk to me just only 5 minutes, that would be my day would be shot. I wouldn't have time to do anything else.
If you each talk to you for 1 minute, 150,
Yeah.
that's 2 hours and a half.
Alone.
Just for
Yeah,
1 minute
yeah.
each, right?
So 5 minutes would kill
Yes.
the whole day, and
Right.
so I ask that if they need to see me or talk to me, they come at night after hours, and
Okay, we're looking at a back view now. Here's some of the trucks that he used in his construction. and there's the tank, and there are the people who are who just got the gas, if you'll pardon the expression.
Yes, propane. Mm-hmm.
They say when you come to Trombley's, you get a lot of gas.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Exactly.
Sam, what a beautiful deal you have set up here with your trees.
See, this was our corral, but because of the liabilities, we used to have the horses here, and so my son has got the horses down to his place. You know, we were getting parents didn't realize that you know, they couldn't let their kids go between the horses' legs and what have you, and so
Right.
so it was nice when I had the horses here. It added.
Yeah. Look at this nice little unit right here, for instance. Look at that. That's a special little camping type unit, probably 30 feet long and 12,
14, I'd say.
12
yeah.
and 14.
Yeah. Oh, they're doing a
got
nice
their own
job
little
with
yard.
it.
Look at the
Yeah.
flowers. They got a home away from home right
Yeah,
here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we'll be right back. We're going to move off to another area. We'll see this lake from the other side.
Good.
Just to the east of the swimming pool is this large building we showed you, and this obviously is what you call your recreation area.
Exactly.
And how long have you had something like this, Sam?
I've always had it for the kids. You know, they have to have something to do evenings, you know. And so this is the main reason for the arcade room. And then, of course, with the club, it's not only for the campers.
Yes,
it's
yes.
also for local.
The locals can come here if they want, right?
Exactly.
Do they pay to play pool?
Oh, yes, it's all.
Okay,
It's all,
also have the
unfortunately,
slots.
there's nothing free, you know.
Oh, yeah. Now, I see you got some saddlery up on the top.
Yes, for display, you know.
Yeah, just
and,
a display. Well,
of course, like I said, it's Ranchside Park. I used to have the horses here, but like I mentioning earlier, because of the liabilities, I thought it'd be best to remove them before some kid would get kicked or something. So my son has them down to his place. And then what I wanted to mention on Saturday night, well, the parents are over at the club. You know, they can bring the kids with them, and they can check in on them. And of course, I have security here on Saturday night.
Okay, you do have somebody in here
I have
patrolling.
security, yeah.
Okay.
To look over the kids, and so where the parents is over there having a dance or a cocktail, the kids can be also enjoying themselves. So it's still a family thing, you know.
I don't see a soda machine in here. What do you do for a soda machine?
In the diner.
They
The
can go in
diner's
diner
so
and get
close
one?
by.
Okay, they can go there and get one if they want.
Yeah, the
Here.
soda machines, they're, you know, any machine is a pain. You know, they're losing their quarters, and so this way here they can, as you know, it's only, you know, a few feet away.
Yeah, right over here, exactly.
Yeah, so they can come and get their soda or whatever they want over there.
Okay, we'll move along. Thanks, Sam. Now, we thought that Sam did all the work, and I found out that this lady here does an awful lot of it also. And this is Marie, his wife, and of how many years?
36.
37 years, not quite. 37 years and 6 children, and very, very active in the business. And she was just telling us that you also operate some of the equipment.
Yes, I can.
Like, for instance?
I can do the backhoe, dump truck.
You can?
Yes,
But does that mean you do, or just you could if you wanted to?
I do.
You do that.
I do.
So you've been a very, very helpful partner in this business over the years.
I would say so.
And you're also running do you run the
Yeah,
the
snack bar.
the snack bar yourself? This
Yeah.
is yours, and
Yes.
in addition, does he cook in the house? By the way,
No.
he doesn't. You
No.
do that too? He lets
Yes,
you.
pretty much.
He lets you do that. Huh?
Yes.
But are all the children gone, or do you have anybody living at home?
We have one girl home.
Still living at home? Does
Yeah.
she work here with you?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. And we were talking way back. You'll see this when you see it, but way back when, before the indoor toilets and the rest. You remember those days?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it easy now? You didn't have to clean them though. Now you have to clean those toilets. She just see this. She's not going to say much, but she'll shake her head. She said, "All right." Well, Marie, you are from Moores, the LaValle. What's
Moores
LaValle
Forks.
family? Moores Forks?
Andrew.
Andrew. Well, I don't know Andrew, but there you go. Andrew, LaValle family, and then you're related to half the people in Moores Forks.
Just about. Yes,
All right.
I think.
We also noticed that we went in the office that you are very active in the local church. And what is that program?
Yes, yeah. Our religious ed program.
You
St.
are
Edmund's Religious Ed.
you are the coordinator for that?
Yes, park coordinator, yes.
Particularly because she's got a great Moores Forks person there who's the pastor, right?
Right.
And what's his name?
Father Gilbert Menard, yes.
Okay, Gilbert Menard, he's here. Been a priest for, he must be pushing 25 to 30 years, huh?
Oh, must
That
be.
he's been a priest.
Just
All right.
a super guy.
Okay, well, thank you very much for getting out here and talking with us and meeting us. And we've met the family now. See here, that's why he smiled so much. Look at the good-looking wife he has here, and she works too.
Yeah, I work.
Thanks for doing it again. We're going to look at some more of Ranchside Park Campground here at Ellenberg Corners. Okay, we're outside the snack bar. Tell us a little bit about the snack bar, Marie. When?
Well, it's 30 years old.
It
30
is
years,
that long, yeah?
30 years ago, we built it. And I was pregnant, of course, the first year. And it's been very busy, but it's kept our children home. They've all worked in the diner and helped on the grounds and went to college, and that's how they made their money.
We were inside having a Coke, and you mentioned to me about your son in the high chair. Tell us that little story for TV. That'd be worthwhile hearing about
Yes.
that.
Yes, my son, Christopher, who was 30 last week, and after he was born, I'd bring him in, a week after he was born, I'd bring him in his little seat and put him on the counter. And by the time we were ready to close and move into the house, he'd say, "Hi, Marie. Hi, Marie." That's all he heard.
That's all he heard all day.
Yeah.
I think that's fun. That's great. But you were able to have him with you all the time.
Oh,
and
yes.
he must have learned something, too, that way. As he grew up, all the children learned a lot.
All the babies,
Well,
yes.
it's his business today.
Yeah.
It is his. Okay. See,
Yeah.
I think all of these things that you can be with your father, I missed that as I was growing up with my father, who was a businessman because he died when I was young, or a grandfather. You know, grandfathers are great for the grandkids to see this thing, you know. And you're such a diversified person. I look over and I see your steel building sign. I don't know. You didn't tell us much about that.
Oh, gee, I built many steel buildings. Matter of fact, when I came into the steel building business, I was the only non-union contractor for steel buildings, and we built many steel buildings.
And you're still selling the building?
Well, right now, of course, my crew is gone, and with the politics, the campsite, and there just isn't time anymore.
Yeah.
And so we can still sell them, but as far as erecting, it takes a long time to break in a crew. That takes teamwork and and experience help in order to make it work. But it was a good business. It was a clean business. And, good buildings. Once you put up a steel building, it was there. It's not like wood. It didn't warp overnight. And really enjoyed working steel.
When you married this man, Marie, did you find it tough to keep up with his pace at first? Was that pace?
No, not at first.
Not at first. But as it went, yes.
As our minds got going together, then we really...
Well, that's where we got to meet. Of course, we're talking about the entertaining.
Yeah.
I was up calling Square Dance. She was attending the dance, and so that's how we first met. And, so she knew that I love music and dancing.
This is one of the reasons why we are here, because we wanted to do something in Ellenberg, and what better than nice people like this? We're not here to advertise, as we've said before, his campsites. It's part of the story of Sam and Marie Trombley. That's why we're here, because they're nice people. I met Marie for the first time today, although if I've known the LaValleys, I have to know her along the way somewhere, it seems. But anyway, that's why we're here. We hope you enjoy. Some of you people are probably hearing things you didn't know about these two people. There's a lot more, too, I'm sure we'll hear as we go. And thanks very much for talking. Anything else about your snack bar? How many do you seat?
Well, we seat approximately 20 in there, but most of them are served.
Right here.
outside the windows.
Soft ice. And soft ice cream too.
Yes.
Right.
Matter of fact, we just got a new machine. Of course, the new machines now they're all computered. Where back when we started, it was just the old machine. And
Computer? What do you mean computer?
it's all computerized. Probably can get.
You mean it automatically gives you the right amount?
Well, they have to gauge it, but I mean it's all. It keeps the same temperature.
Oh,
You
okay.
only have
Maybe
to,
we can just
yeah,
look in here, Calvin. Maybe just get an idea of what we're talking about. We're going right into the kitchen.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah, as you can see, it's all computerized.
Oh yes.
And now you only have to wash these machines out. You only have to wash these machines out once a day, once a week. Where the old machine was every night. You had to strip them all down. And
So the mix stays right inside
exactly
for that week until you wash
it's
it.
all
Until you clean it.
refrigerated, but they're $14,000, so you have to sell.
And
have
you
to
do
sell
sell a
that
lot,
ice.
probably, right?
Well, not as much now that the Canadians are all gone back now. As you know, school started yesterday, and but through the vacationing months, yes, it's
$14,000. That's what it is, right there, folks.
gotta sell a lot of ice cream.
My house didn't cost that when I first got it.
Yeah, same here, 7,000.
7,000. But I had two houses for the price of that. Of course,
Yeah.
we're talking a different era. We're
Exactly.
talking about $1.65 an hour you were making back in the
Exactly,
50s. So
exactly.
it's all relative.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to step back outside.
Good.
We're going to wander over to the ranch house next, I guess, the clubhouse. But before we go, we should point out that we asked Marie what kind of soda they sold in there. She said her brother Walt LaValle insists that they only sell Coca-Cola products here at their diner.
You can see the sign, and as we're out here, we're looking at the stone wall that you said you had to put up.
Retaining wall,
Retaining wall, because you had a lot of fill through
yeah,
here.
that was all swamp. They couldn't even graze a cow in here. It was that lowland.
All right. Now this, of course, is the main display right here. Is the Ranchside Park Campground, stagecoach, and a couple of small horses.
Yes.
Tell us about this.
Well, anyway, I knew I needed a landmark, and it really worked out what I had planned it to be. Would you believe I do not know what the connection between Ontario and Nova Scotia is, but this seems to be their main route, and so when they're going down through and they visit the same people every year, or they travel the same route, this is their landmark. That's what they look for, is the stagecoach. But anyway, when I was looking for a stagecoach, just couldn't find one, and one was advertised in a Gazette that we ran across, but they wanted $6,000, and I said, heck, I can build one cheaper than that. So I built this, but this is about 20 years old. I guess I got us time to do some renovation.
You start your horses young here to,
Yeah.
to pull your coat.
Exactly. Well, I was looking for larger horses, but I was unable to find any. So until I find large one, I thought these here would do. And but one thing, with these guys, they don't eat, and you don't have to clean them.
No,
so,
that's true.
you
Yes,
know.
yeah.
But anyway,
They're going to get you for cruelty to animals, pulling that big
Exactly.
stagecoach there, you know.
Exactly.
All right, now when did you build your club?
Exactly 10 years ago, when and the reason why I remember is that my daughter got married, but there again, I poured the floor. I poured the floor probably 15 years ago, and as I said, I don't get in debt anymore, and as I get $1, I spend $1, and so when I got all the materials together, and then as I was clearing the sites across, I saved my logs, and so when I had all the material together, that's when so it's exactly 10 years ago.
Okay. As we look off to the south, you can see the overall park, or not all of it, but much of it. The swimming pool, where we started off this morning, the green and white. We were under that canopy, just beyond the gate that goes here. We were there. You got a birdhouse. You got the all tarmacked around your premises?
No. Having problem with speeders now. I had to put speed bumps.
Yeah.
So if I had it blacktop, that's the reason why I don't have a 5-star rating from Woodall, is because that's the only thing that's lacking is non-blacktop roads. But if I had that, the speeders would be, there'd be no way I could control them.
Okay, now we see a gazebo. What is this?
Oh, this of course that's the putting greens that's around there, and people wants to go and drive some golf balls. The family can sit inside or whatever, and then they enjoy it at night. As you can't see from here the water fountain, but they just like to sit in there and watch the water fountain.
Okay, the water fountain is where? Right over there.
Right
there
over
it is.
here, yes.
You can see it now next to the wading pool.
And and it's kind of nice at night. It's lit up and with red and white lights. And the reason why you see the plywood on the side there, would you believe my campers really get into it and try to do good stuff for the community. And here last Saturday night, they put a variety show on for the fundraiser for the fire department. As you know, we lost our fire station, and so a year ago when they had their variety show, the people couldn't see them, and they did it for the senior housing. They raised $1,500, and so they asked if I wouldn't build them a raised stage, and so that's what it is here. I built them a temporary stage where they could get up there, where everybody could see them without.
And that was inside.
Yes,
inside
which I'll show you later.
Okay.
And
then that's the wading pool with the blue over there.
Yes.
Right? You said, yeah.
Yes.
What's the big bus? Don't tell me you got a bus. Too.
No, that's not mine. That's a camper, and he uses a Greyhound, and he rents a lot here, to park it, and he'll probably take a trip once or twice a year. But other than that, he leaves it parked, and that's in the tent area,
Okay.
Then the playground is in the back. We have a large playground for the.
Maybe we'll take a look
kids.
into the clubhouse
First, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Very good.
We're inside the club with Sam Trombley. And Sam, is this open every night?
No, just on Saturday nights, and of course upon requests, we have banquets, and just about every Saturday or Sunday we'll have a banquet than the Saturday night. But we'll open. I wish I could keep it open, but there's not that much business around.
And so you don't operate a bar, period.
Yes.
No, I mean, you don't operate a bar.
Oh no,
You operate a club, and then when it's open, the bar is in operation.
Exactly.
All right. And this is, look at the background here. Is this your band or that?
Yes. No, it's a band that I hire. I fall in with them every Saturday night, and people still expect me to do a couple numbers.
Oh yes, yes.
So at 11:30, quarter to 12, I'll come on and do a couple numbers with the guys.
They like to see that, huh?
Yeah,
Pretty
and I
well
love to
paid.
do it.
Most of the people here are your campers? Or
no.
other people too?
Oh yes.
Right.
Yeah, Gellies. Matter of fact, the big thing is that they'll come on Friday nights or early Saturday morning to camp here, just to come to the club on Saturday night. People from all over Ontario, Montreal, Messina. And then, of course, you take with the DWIs now, they don't have to worry.
Exactly.
They just walk back to their unit. And
couple guitars prominently displayed back there with lights. What is that all about?
Well, those were my first two guitars that I started with, and now I just keep them as souvenirs, and so I hung them up there, and it's a reminder of how I started, and
You sing too?
Oh, I love to sing.
You sing too, huh?
Yes,
Oh, you're a man of all things. Don't tell me you made the dolls. Look at those dolls move up there, Calvin. Look at them go.
The dolls I had to buy.
Look at that. Look at that move.
Yeah.
I hadn't noticed that before.
It adds at night. It
Sure
looks nice
does.
at night. And,
Okay, and this is what your place looks like as you look around, and you can see nearly 300. You said in here, 250,
yes,
something like that.
Well, see, we have the balcony also. See?
Oh, there is a balcony up there. Yes.
Yeah. The reason for the balcony is that when the Canadians get their company or visitors, and they want to come and visit and observe, and yet not have to to put up with the noise, and they can still communicate with each other and take in the band, the music, and still visit with their friends and.
Right. Now, you have your own kitchen back here, everything else?
Yes.
Ready for, we don't have to see it necessarily, but that's for your banquets and things.
Yes.
You have a lot of those, Sam?
Oh, yes, several banquets. Matter of fact, we just, last Saturday we had one, and I think it's the 17th, the Right to Lifers are having their big banquet here, and of course all the weddings, and then there's always somebody having an anniversary.
All right, when you have those banquets, what does Sam Trombley do during the banquet?
Galleys, well, we're up at 4 o'clock in the morning, especially the steamship round. That takes 8 hours, to cook
do your
the
own
steamship.
cooking?
Oh, yes. And of course, my
Well, you
wife
and
does
Marie,
all
yeah.
the prepping, but I got to do all the lifting, and set up and break down and. But we have a system, when we have a banquet, we have 3/4-inch plywood we put on the tables, and of course I had to come up with this system. This was my wife's idea, though, to break down quick for our Saturday night.
So you put the plywood over the top?
Over the tables, and it makes large tables, and then as soon as the banquet is over with, we can break down in a hurry. Within an hour, within an hour, we have everything broke down and set up the way you see it now.
Well, Sam, there came a time somewhere you said, I'm not busy enough, Marie. I got to find something else to occupy my time. Or how did you get into politics?
Well, of course, I was always into politics. I was the town chairman even before I was old enough to vote. Of course, back in my early days, you had to be 21,
What party would that be?
Oh, I was brought up and born to be a Republican. But Gellies, but this is why you work for everybody. I mean, it just happened that I'm a Republican, and you have to have the two-party system. And but it just happened that I'm born.
What's the other party called?
Democrat Party.
Oh, the Democratic Party. All right, let's mention that. So, Sam, how did you get it? What were you in besides chairman? Were you a local politician first?
Oh, yeah.
Assessor or councilman?
No. I just got in as a town chairman, and of course my wife was county vice chairman at the time. I mean, I remember when we'd go down at least once a month and have breakfast with Rockefeller. Rockefeller and Happy was real good friends of ours, and then of course we were sent down to represent Clinton County on 2 inaugurations when President Nixon was in, and really active in politics, and I love it. And and I enjoy it.
Okay, now the first time I was reading an old paper yesterday, not looking for it, but I came across it. I said, my God, I know that man. Your picture. You were appointed the first time to fill it with a vacancy?
Yes, my predecessor had a serious accident, and so he passed away. And then, of course, I was OTB director for 13 years. And so when it came time for the appointment, there was the question about having to give up the OTB directorship, and or else I wouldn't be eligible for the appointment. And they had 5 candidates too, and so of course I was putting so much time into the OTB. When I came in as director of OTB, I mean, it was nothing here. 155,000, I think, was all. And we didn't have simulcasting. It was just delayed racing. But anyway, I got in as the director, and the president of OTB, Dave Atkins. I mean, he just took a liking into me, and the director. There was only 5 of us then, and so I was able to get this modern OTB parlor that you see in Plattsburgh now. With all the gold brass railings and the red carpets, and I was able to get the parlor at Champlain, which I had. It was a difficult time because none of the directors from the Albany area had ever been up here. So when I suggested opening up a parlor in Champlain, they pulled out a map, and Champlain only looked like the size of your little finger on the map, and they said, it wouldn't be worth it. There isn't that much population. Well, I said, it's the 3 million people across the border that's going to make it, and so anyway, so they decided, you don't give up, you just keep trying. And so after a year, they decided to come up and take a tour to Montreal. And of course, I hadn't been, would you believe, when I was a kid, I used to always go down with my motorcycle every Wednesday night to the wrestling, but I hadn't been down that much recently, and I gave him a tour. I got lost. But anyway, when we found our way back through the border, Davis Atkins said, we're going to give you 6 months. We're going to put up a trailer temporarily. And so it worked out. We made enough. And so then Mr. Neverett had some property, and so he heard through the grapevine that we were looking for an area to build. And so he gave me a call, and he said, Jesus, I got this prime lot. And he said, I'll build a building. And so I got the Davis Atkins and the director's approval, and so Mr. Neverett built us the building, and it's going well. And what's hurting us this year, though, is the difference in the currency and in the exchange rate.
Yeah.
And so we are down a little bit, but it's been going great between the 2 parlors. And of course, the convenience of having the 2 parlors is that when they come in, if they're late, they can stop in and wager their bets on the way in Champlain. They can continue on to Plattsburgh and go in and pick up their winnings. And the same thing when they're returning. If they're running a little bit late and they want to get home quick, they can go into Plattsburgh, place their bets, stop into Champlain, and pick up their winnings on the way back. And of course, I was able, by being bilingual, speaking a little French, I'd love to go in and speak French with them, buy them a couple beers, and I mean, and that's the way we built it up. I brought it right up to the last year I was director. We were up to $9 million in gross handle.
Okay, so then when you resigned that
I didn't resign. It's when the party changed hands, they unloaded me. And I couldn't believe it.
Okay, they unloaded.
After all the work I did. And,
yes, but then you were appointed as a legislator.
No, so anyway, so to get back, so they, it came right to the final hour. It was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I said, I'm sorry, the appointment was still there, and so I said, there's no way I can leave the directorship, because I had too many things going. We had, like I said, for the first time, we were going to get simulcasting, and I had been attending the hearings that was going on to allow us simulcasting, and I said, there's no way that, spending this much time to let it go. So at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, this is about the first part of May now, I'm working in the campsite, and so my wife came and found me and said that, give me the message that we just got a call from the county Republican chairman telling me that he was just notified that I could be grandfathered in, and so I would be eligible to accept the nomination for the open spot of the Area 2 legislator. And this is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and of course 7 o'clock that night was the first. There's 5 towns in my legislative area, And of course, the new legislator was going to be picked by the 5 towns, and they were having various meetings in each town to question each candidate, which I said there were 5 of us. And the first, and this was the day that I'm telling you about, was Dannemoro's first meeting at 7 o'clock to appear before in front of the Republican committee. And so it didn't give me much time from 4 to 7 to get my act together and get up there and ready to represent myself and let known the reason why I would like to represent him. And so we went from town to town, and Gelly's the end result. They took a vote, and I got the majority vote out of the 5 towns, and so that's how I got the appointment. But then I got that appointment in May, but then I had to run that following November, and I've been in ever since.
Clinton, Ellenberg, Moores, Dannemora, but Moores,
Yeah.
the town of Moores,
Yep.
Dannemora, and what's the 5th one?
Ellenberg.
I got Ellenberg. Ellenberg, Moores, Dannemora, and Clinton.
Oh, you didn't get Altona?
Altona.
You didn't get
That one I
Altona.
should have known in the beginning.
Yeah.
Altona.
The three state prisons are in my area.
The 3 state are all
Yeah,
in your area. Okay.
and which is our industry here,
Is it safe to say that when you talk about politics, you really get into it?
Oh, geez. I mean, if you don't get into it, it's got to be one or the other. You got to be there to represent you. Would you believe when I came in office, and this was the main reason why I came in. Our roads was bad. We didn't have no senior housing. I mean, we had nothing. Today, the 5th town in my legislative area, Altona, is building their 5th senior housing. So every town in my in my legislative area is going to have a senior housing. By the year of 1996, under the 5-year Built-in Road Construction Act, every state road is going to be rebuilt in my area. Right now they're doing Route 89 from Route 11 to the Canadian border, which just 2.5 years ago the state told me that we would never get it, but thanks to Ron Stafford, he just stuck with me, and it's under construction now. Route 90 is going to 190 is going to be completed. The bid opening is December 2nd. And Route 11, of course, they backed up everything because of the bridge repair work, which should have been all done now. But Route 11 in my legislative area is going to be built in 96. And then Route 374 from Lime Mountain to Dannemora is going to be done in 95. So,
Sam, you mentioned a couple of things way back there. Number one is that even though you've done this excellent job as the director of the OTB, when they changed parties, out you went.
yes.
Not only you, but Addie Shields was
Yes.
another one.
Yeah, same guy.
Miscarriage of justice, as far as I'm a Democrat, and as a matter of fact, one of those Democratic people sold you that land or built that, but never
Yeah.
a good Democrat
Okay.
got that Republican director,
Yeah.
OTB in Champlain.
Yes.
But I think there are times, certain things. Addie Shield had 14 years also, you know.
Exactly.
Very,
Yep,
very,
came in
very-
at the same time.
That
Both
bothered
came in at
me
the same
because I
time.
thought she was doing an excellent
Yeah.
job, and she liked it. She
Yeah.
loved it.
Oh, she lived
and
it.
very, very helpful on
She
it.
lived it.
But
She
again,
would call me as late as 11 o'clock
I
at
know.
night.
Well, we're not here to talk politics
No.
either, but because this man is that legislator and represents his people so well. Anything they ask him, you'll attempt.
Oh,
at
regardless
least, right?
of the time, day or night, and
He
I'm
represents his people well, and that's why he's running unopposed again, because I don't think they could beat him if they wanted to.
there. Well, you know what
And
helps?
they don't want to.
Yeah, but you know what helps? Just like last night, for example, I'm glad you mentioned that. I was to awake, and so our local pastor, they do their monthly visit, and they inform me where help. Now, like last night, he pulled me to one side as I was going in to the funeral home, and he said, I got to see you. So he pointed out a problem where I had to be. And so it's just reacting to the people's requests. It's not that I'm smart. It's just that people like Father Menard goes around and visits the sick or the ministers. They tell me where help is needed, and I go and I see it firsthand, and I make the right connections. And oftentimes I feel guilty because I get the credit, but if it wouldn't be for Senator Stafford or Assemblyman Ortlaw, before Senator Ortlaw, Andy Ryan. Andy Ryan is the one that told me when I first came into office, he said, Sam, there's not another area that has any worse roads than you have. And he said, pound on those roads. Make sure you get good roads while you're in. And so I just take good advice from the senator and Judge Ryan now and our Assemblyman Ortlaw. and I go with the majority. The people, 3 heads is still better than one, and they're the ones that educated me.
We're in Ellenburg, New York, and we're talking to a politician, married man of 36 years, a father, grandfather, very religious person, caring person, a businessman, a contractor, a caring person, and what else, Calvin? Think about, huh?
Former stock car driver.
Oh yeah, former stock car driver, and he had a
Jockey.
motorcycle. What about this stock car driving? You
Oh,
were a stock car driver.
Oh,
You
yes.
told us off camera.
Oh yeah, I love that. And
Could you beat Charlie Trombley?
no, Charlie. Of course, at that time, of course, it takes two. Not only the experience, but you got to have money, and to get a good car. But I was doing good for what I had to work with, and my last race was a good race. I was up there with one of the top 3, and I think I finished second in my last race, and I still got my pin, the NASCAR racing.
So what number was your car?
Would you? I can't even remember the number of my car.
You
right
can't
now.
remember the number of your car.
That
I bet
awful.
you ask your wife, she would know.
She would remember.
She didn't go see you race very much, you said.
But that last night she did, and
that probably was why your last night.
Well, it's because we were the first 3 in front, and and I was in the center, and they were clinching me, and of course I was the stranger in town. These guys know how to do it. It's like horse racing; they trap you in, and so the outside car lost a wheel, and it went up in the air, and I thought it was going to land on my right on top of me. But anyway, she did come to see me do one race, and then of course that one night, because of the performance that the car did, it was so well balanced, and we went into a turn, and we just came into several of twists, and the car never flipped, and I got a good offer for the car. This was on a Saturday night. And on a Monday, I went out and I bought a racehorse, and I don't know which was the worst of the two evils there.
Well, a
But I
car
got
don't
the,
eat.
huh?
A car don't eat.
But then when I got into the racehorse business, I think that's how I got the appointment of being OTB director, and I think that's why I was successful. Is that I understood racing, I knew horses, and I drove them, and I fed them, and I cleaned them, and I just love them, and we still have horses today, and it's just a great sport.
When you see this man live, tell him you saw him on TV, you enjoyed him. If you did, if you didn't, tell him you didn't, and why you didn't too. And he's very free with his time, except when he's working out in the backyard. Don't stop and talk to him when he's doing his yard work, right?
Right.
He just has too much of it to do. We'll be right back.
Before you go, when you mentioned the motorcycle, I failed to tell you. Of course, I did find a little time to get into the circuit, and of course, I was riding motorcycles when I was 12 years old. I don't know if you remember Father Taylor or not.
No, I
But
didn't know
anyway,
Father
he
Taylor.
was a relative of mine, but he was also our priest here at St. Edmunds. And so from the time of 13, would you believe, when I mentioned earlier, we'd go down to Montreal, and so he'd take his collar off, and he had an Indian, and I always had Harleys. And so at the age of 13, would you believe I was driving
You were driving in
illegally,
Montreal with a motorcycle?
Going down in Montreal, and we'd travel all over. And so anyway, I got into the circuit, and then I got to riding the rollers out front, and then I got to ride in the silos. And
Is that right? At the carnival?
yeah, and so anyway, it was in August when we got married, and so it was just before fair time, and so we went to the Malone Fair, and so the guy's out there, and he's threatening the people to go in, and anybody that dare to go on the motorcycle in the tub, and so I was still pretty fresh. I was, within a year I had been with the circuit, and so I said to my wife, I said, I'm going to pull their bluff, I'm going to go in. She said, you go up there and I'm going to leave you, and I said, well, we had only been married a couple of weeks, so I said, if she's going to leave me, now is a good time. So, but after I got in the silo, I looked up, and she was there, and but that's the last ride that I took in the silo.
But you did ride it, huh?
I did ride in the silo, yeah.
We'll be right back. You're watching Hometown Cable, and we're having a great time this morning in Ellenburg Corners, New York, where they still have a post office.
Yeah.
Thanks much to this man right here, Sam Trombley.
Yeah, you got it, Bob.
What you're looking at is the east wall, a picture of your complete ground, Sam.
Exactly.
How'd you get this picture?
Well, evidently this is a business for photographers, and not known to me. They flew over one day and took this picture, and so they came in midwinter and showed me the picture, and asked if I wouldn't be interested in it. And as you can see, it was a perfect day,
beautiful.
perfect picture.
Yep.
So we purchased two of them.
Right. Now, if you'll notice, this is the school.
Yes.
And there's the pool. And this is the snack bar we were in. And the recreation room. And we're in this club right here.
Yeah, you got it.
And we were over next to this dam, which is right here, taking a picture. Yeah. And we're going to be walking down through here and across. We didn't even see, you can't even see this section from the road, I don't think. No. And there's across the river, that whole area.
Yeah, you'll see the covered bridge as we go down through here later. Yeah.
And that's a beautiful picture. And then the picture over here is a picture more of the front.
Exactly, the entrance.
The entranceway, which shows the club on the right, and then the snack bar, and then the big building, recreation, and your workshop, and then the pool.
Yeah, evidently they couldn't get it all in one shot, and that's why they had to take 2 photos.
Well, there's another reason, Sam. They sell twice as many that way, too. I would have thought that maybe you gave them the idea.
Yeah. Well, I would have liked to, but it was aftermath. Like I said, I didn't even know they were taking it, and there was nothing prearranged. That's the way it happened to be that day, and as you can see, there's a lot of activity on a Saturday, as you can see all the cars around.
Okay, we'll take a fast look around. By the way, Calvin noted where we've been sitting here in the, this must be the special guest corner, but look at this, a sofa and a love seat. Yes. What's the story on this?
Well, we have several that comes in early, and of course they come in families, and like I mentioned a little earlier, we have RV people that owns RVs, and they'll come down on Saturdays just to and rent a site just to come to the clubhouse. And of course, they invite their families, and so this is where they'll congregate and meet before they get situated for the night.
Now, when did the last time you saw something like this? When you went into a club or something, or a banquet room or anything like that? Just a little special, the Trombley touch, if you'll pardon the expression, if I could refer to it as such. A dartboard that, remember, it's only open 1 or 2 days a week at the weekend. Yes. The nice pictures of Saratoga along the way.
Yeah, you got it.
Round tables and the chairs over there, and these are more like banquet tables along here.
Well, for large group, for people that comes in more than 4. And
must be something down there we should see. Is that a fireplace?
Fireplace and the water fountain.
Let's get down a little closer and see that, Sam.
Okay.
Of course, if you're going to have a sofa and the love seat when you first come in, you've got to have another centerpiece, and here it is right here. This is and behind here is the bar, which is not really in view, not exposed at all. Now, what is this, Sam?
This is the water fountain. Of course, when I first designed the building, I wanted as you'll notice outside the water fountain, that was the first thing I built. I got something about water fountains, and I just love them, and I was trying to design an area in the center to have the water fountain, and but then we finally learned that it was going to take too much seating space away, and so anyway, my wife was going through a catalog, and so she found this large imitation stone, or granite, whatever you want to call it, with the waterfalls, and so it looks nice at night, with the lights, and during the day it doesn't show up that much.
And then above here we have something a little special too. Where did you buy a thing like that?
This carousel.
Yeah,
no,
the carousel.
Being a clubhouse, I wear Western clothes out here, and so when I go down to the flats in Saratoga, they have this one store down there that sells Western clothes, and each year I go down and try to buy a new suit, and so I had a few dollars left after buying the suit last year, and so they were selling the ticket on this horse, and so I bought the ticket, and I never told my wife, and it was just a few days before Christmas they get the call and left a message that I had won the horse to go down and pick him up, and of course my wife was a little disappointed. She thought it was a live horse, and something else that she thought she would have to feed and, and clean,
Now, a couple of things you said there, the flats. Tell people what the flats are.
Of course, each year, they have the flat in Saratoga. This is the thoroughbreds.
Okay,
just across the road from the
instead of the
sulkies,
they call it the flats when you're running with the jockey on the back.
Exactly.
Right? Now you buy a suit. You say put here every year.
Yeah.
Well, are you fortunate enough to fit into the one from last year, or are you?
No, but you wear them out. Of course, I play my tambourine and I get carried away sometime. And I hit my...
You use them quite a bit, huh?
Oh, yeah. So I wear out my clothes.
Well, here over in the corner is another special kind of an area.
Yes.
High tables here.
Yes.
And high benches.
Yes.
And there's the bar, see, even behind.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not completely exposed to the rest. It makes it very
Well,
nice.
The reason for that, Bob, is that when we have banquets, a lot of the parents don't want their kids to be exposed. Especially the
Great.
religious people, and exposed to the booze. And so by having this, it blocks it off. Like if they're having a religious breakfast here, the kids are not directly exposed to the bar.
All right, now we were off camera before. Calvin noted that these are metal walls in here, and the question was, what do you do with all the noise coming off your band reverberating against that metal? Is that a problem?
You wouldn't believe my acoustics, and of course I've been in a lot of entertainment places. As you know, I was an entertainer at one time, and of course acoustics I know is 99% of the nightly evening. And of course, when I first put the steel, you were exactly right. I was getting an awful lot of ringing, but all what I had to do was remove the steel, and I just put a plastic film in the back of it, and you wouldn't believe I got the best acoustics within the area. I mean, it just rings. I don't care if you're sitting up in the balcony or way over here. The sound is the same.
Now you see when a man. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and then of course I got the built-in sound system. See,
up there, yeah.
And so they don't have to blast the turn up their volume. And when I go around, and of course I stop and visit with everybody, and if I can't hear what they're telling me, I know they're too loud. And there's no reason for cranking it up, because with the sound system and my acoustic system, it's just perfect.
You hear him say it wasn't very much of a problem to put that vinyl in behind. It means you took off all these panels completely. That's a lot of work, but he says it wasn't very much hard. Now, let me ask you, you seem very enthusiastic about everything we've talked about. What turns you off?
No, there's none that turns me off. I just want to keep going.
There must be something that you don't like.
No, not really.
Not really?
No, I like
you like being on TV?
I like being on TV.
You love it.
Like being on radio. I love to paint. There's nothing more I like to do than paint. You know, when you can cut around the windows. And
you love being in parade.
And I love being in
parade. Oh,
do
you love being in parade?
Oh, we're going to be in Champlain Monday, right?
Moores,
yeah.
Moores, yeah. Oh, you'll be there, absolutely,
yeah.
You'd be missed if you weren't.
Exactly, and they called me again the other night to remind me, and
very good.
Of course, I missed the one in Moores Forks because I had a electrical problem that morning, and by the time I got down there, the parade had already started. And but other than emergencies, I try to be there. And,
okay.
Big pictures here.
Now, Sam, this may be the closest we're ever going to get to heaven, right up here. We're up in your balcony over the bar, and we're looking down into this line. How big is the building? Do you know?
The building is 50 by 100.
All right, this is a steel building?
Partially steel, partially wood. The lumber logs that I was able to save.
Oh, you mentioned that. All right.
Okay. And that's all my girts and my framing. Yeah. But the reason for the steel liner wasn't only for my acoustics, but for fire reasonings. On your insurance rate.
Okay.
You get a better rating.
On the way up, you were mentioning that you built this at a very unusual hour.
Yeah, between midnight and 6 in the morning. That's about the only time I really had to work out here. And after my construction, that's when I was building this when I had my construction going, or construct. And then of course I was inspector for Power Authority, which I had my 8-hour days to put in there, and so I built it at nights and early mornings.
As we were coming up, Calvin also reminded me that when you talked about the person that when you were appointed to replace somebody who had had an accident, who are we talking about?
Alan Lefty Labarge, just a super guy, and of course I campaigned hard to get him elected, and we were successful. We got him elected, and he was just a super legislator, but he had an accident and didn't pull through.
Yeah.
And
he was a businessman here.
Oh yes, Paul and Hogan. They bought the Paul and Hogan insurance company, and of course his wife Andre, picked it up, and by golly, she did well. And as you know, she bought another agency out in Moores.
I didn't know that. They own that one in Moores now?
Yeah, she bought that one here after.
Okay. Anything else we should know about up here? You can see, 40 people up here or something like that?
Approximately.
30 to 40 people?
35, 40.
And who reserved this for who up here?
Well, especially those who has a lot of company here in the campsite, or anybody that wants to be by themselves, or a family reunion thing. And want to visit and still be able to observe, you know, the band and
Right.
watch people dance. And as you see, they get a real good view from up here.
Right.
And,
Now, when you, after your big party, do you do all the cleaning yourself? Do you have special people come in?
no, the lady that you met outside,
Yes? She's
she
able
does,
to do
yeah.
this in addition to her regular work?
Yes, yes, and sort out all the bottles. Of course, that's the other big thing now, you know, the bottles in the
What about
garbage and-
smoke? You allow smoking?
Oh, yes, but you'll see I got a good venting system, you know, you'll see
Okay.
3 good vents, and I have a 2.5 horse motor that pulls it right out. And, of course, this is the other reason for building it high is to do away with the smoke.
I was going to say, but up here you'd get a lot of smoke, I would think.
No, because it
Because
pulls
of that,
it out right
pulls
there,
it out.
yeah.
Now, there's no restriction on smoking in an establishment like this?
It's a bar, and
So bars can smoke?
yeah, but even if it did, I said, this is my place. I own it, and I'm going to run it the way I want to. And if they're going to start putting that kind of restrictions on me, they can come and run it themselves.
Can you imagine Sam Trombley not being able to have a cigarette in his own establishment?
Exactly.
You do
exactly what I'm
smoke.
saying. Oh, yes, yes. And the other thing I wanted to mention, the other reason why I went high is that I'll never build any more buildings. This is all we're doing now. My maintenance is something else. You know, I got that's all one guy does is just you know, painting and scraping. And so if I ever need more room, as you see the balcony here, I can build all the way around and just leave an opening in the center. And so if I'm ever to expand, that's my next. But that's the reason why I went high.
There's a lot of investment in just this one building.
Oh, yes.
Counting your equipment and your building and all the other things inside.
Of course, but how I, well, the exterior siding is that one farmer wanted lime out of the quarry in, is it Nayview in Plattsburgh? You know, they have the wine, the lime from processing their gas and, you know, for cutting torches and what have you. And so anyway, I traded him. I hauled his fertilizer for the exterior steel. And the ceiling tile, I did the whole building, redid the whole building down at Myers border crossing there. And so I saved all the old. This is all the old tile that comes out of the out of that building, and I just trimmed it up. You know, they were bigger tiles, but they were damaged, and I just trimmed it up, and it looks like new, as you can see. And of course, all the wood is that it was logs that I cut from developing the campsite over on the other side, and I got it sawed into lumber, and so and then I just bought the interior steel, and
you know, I
mixed my own concrete by hand. You know,
I was while we were having a Coke in the snack bar, I made a mistake of asking where they go and when do they leave on vacation.
Oh, no, never had a vacation.
Never had a vacation.
No.
37 years married.
Yeah.
And it's not only have they not had a vacation, Marie said it's no picnic either.
No, but you know, like Governor Cuomo mentioned in the paper, was it a couple of weeks ago, he wouldn't be happy taking a vacation, and I guess probably vacations are not for everybody. Would you believe I just run my, you know, my meetings in Plattsburgh or a meeting in Albany, and I can't wait to get back home. This is where I vacation. I enjoy it here. I love it here, and I wouldn't be happy if I was to ever go.
Or even not work one day. Did you ever have a day off?
No, never, never.
Not even a day off. Think about that. That's even worse than the farmer. Farmer goes to the fair and has a day off.
Yeah.
We'll be right back. We're going to go outside. We've been talking and still talking with Sam Trombley. And we're at the Ranch
Clubhouse.
Yeah, the Ranch Clubhouse here at the... I've lost my...
Ranchside Park, yeah.
Ranchside Park here and on a beautiful man-made lake. Calvin Castan on the camera. I'm Bob Venne. The program is What's Going On Here. It's on every Sunday, and we hope that you tune in every Sunday. If you don't like it, you can leave, but at least tune in to see if there's something that on every Sunday that you like. We've got some good programs coming up, but they'll be all passed by the time you see this one. Calvin is waiting on this one to make sure there are more people in the Ellenburg area have signed up for Hometown Cable. And again, we welcome you. I'm sorry, not for Hometown Cable, but for new channels. And you'll get it on cable, and you're going to love cable. We've just come outside the club. We're on the south side. This is west, and there is the playground for the children.
Exactly, Bob.
Do you have a lot of children at the campground?
More so this year. It goes through cycles. When we first opened up, we had a lot of young families and with children, and then we went through that cycle where it was just senior citizens, single couples, and this year I don't know what happened. A lot of families again, and would you believe it's families that were kids when their parents were camping here. Now they're married and they got their own kids and they're camping here. So
you're
it's
getting
strange.
a lot of repeat business.
Oh, it's all repeat, yeah.
All right. Now there's an awful lot of open area over there.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
tell me you're missing out on something, Sam.
No, well, it was my intentions to build a garage up there, a service station. And but then when all the gas leaks and the DEC was going around, finding people hundreds of thousands of dollars, so I tucked in my wings on that idea, and then of course none of the family members was interested in the business, and so now it was my intentions to put that use into mini golf course, and which was my intention for this year, but never found a supplier. I did find the plans to build one, but didn't have time to build the buildings, which I can do, but I would like to find one already built. And I have a couple friends of mine that's trying to make some connections, and I was told where there was a couple used ones for sale, so whenever I have time I'll go look them up. And but that's what I want to do with that area. Whatever you do in a campsite, it's got to be family oriented, something that the kids and the mother and father can participate in. So this is my future plan for next year. Hopefully I can have it in place by early spring.
Okay. This parking, of course, is for
This is
the
all
club.
parking lot, and it's all striped.
Okay.
I used to have to pay a man to come out here and park cars, but by just striping it, everybody just falls right in line, so I was able to do away with the parking.
Now, your wading pool, do you have guards out here at all? Or I see it's fenced in.
Well, yes, you have to have a fence, and but this is a wading pool mainly for the senior citizens, those that just wants to soak their feet, and
Careful, I'm one of those. Now.
yeah,
Be
well,
very
I
careful.
guess probably we're all getting
Oh,
there.
yeah, we could do much better, It's just that we don't want to.
But it looks
Excuse
nice. It looks nice at night. The fountain is like a fireplace. The formation is never the same.
And it's lit up. You have lights there.
Oh,
yes.
at night,
Okay.
red and white light, and,
Yep.
and it looks nice at night. And
Okay.
so and it's relaxing.
Are there lights throughout the park at night?
Pardon?
Do you have lights throughout the park?
Oh, no, but these but every camper. Well, as you see, I got night lights. Yeah.
Okay.
On the poles, but then all the campers has their patio lights, and it's well lit up. Yes.
And in that little building, is that water?
That's where my pump station is.
Oh,
For the circulation.
So this is circulating all the time
yes,
too.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's more or less of an ornament. This is the first thing that I built when I first started. This, like I said, I got something on water fountains, and it's going. I mean, this thing has been going for 20 years, and
it's continual, Sam. I see now you got a little bit of rust starting to show.
Yes.
So you got to
already
paint
been
this
painted,
again
yeah.
this year.
Oh yes, I got one guy painting all the time. This was all painted spring, and he'll have to do it again before fall.
Yeah, it's continual painting yearly, right?
Yeah, one man constantly, just maintenance.
Okay, horseshoe pits. There's two horseshoe pits.
Yes, and then they're mini puck. Where you see the.
Okay, we can putt over there. Yes.
Yes, and so there's a little bit for everybody, and then as you go across, you'll see the beach over there.
Okay, we'll walk over in that direction. We're at the. It says Ranchside Campground in Ellenburg Corners, New York, right on Route 11.
Yes.
Sam Trombley, the number 2 owner. Number 1 is Marie Trombley.
Exactly.
She's the boss,
Yep.
and this guy works for her.
Yeah.
She keeps you busy, too.
Oh, does she ever? It lived,
All right, now, this is a very unusual tree, Sam. What's happening here?
Well, as you know, everything that you see here, there's nothing natural. I built everything, and I planted every stitch of grass and trees, and of course, this is why I'm having a problem growing trees here, is because of the winds. And as you can see, the wind,
west wind keeps blowing it. You kept blowing it over.
Yeah, exactly. And but I didn't lose it. It grew.
Yeah, well, it's the only one in the county like that.
Yeah.
You also mentioned you don't get many mosquitoes.
No mosquitoes. Everybody everybody that comes camping here, they can't believe that, but it's because of the breeze. You know, whenever you have a fan going, to give you an example, you don't see any flies around, and no, never have any mosquitoes.
If you didn't like harshness so much, you could have called this Breezy Acres.
Breezy Acres, that would have been.
Is there already one in the county? I think there is already one in the county.
Okay.
Because it is breezy here.
Yeah.
We're at a campsite now. It's an overnight one?
Yes, these are all overnighter sites right here.
Okay.
Now, and the tent sites.
Do they have sewer hookup here in electric?
No, this is two-way right here.
Okay.
Electric and water right in this
Two-way,
area.
electric and water.
Yes.
All right. And what's the other one would be how many way?
Sewer, water, and electricity.
That'd be a three-way.
Yes.
All right.
And then this section over here is just tent sites where you see the.
Right. Can we talk money?
If you want.
For instance, what's that overnight?
Two-way is $14 a night. Three-way is $18. But I have to raise the site. Now, see, you look at this site here right now. When I first started, the minimum site for the Clinton County Health rules and regulation was a 50 by 50 site, which is 2,500 square feet. Well, back then, they had little units or the little pop-ups, but now with the big RVs, like you take that Greyhound for example, well, they're even coming larger than that now. And then if they have their car or if they're towing their truck, you're talking 70 feet long. So now they're taking up two sites. Camping is a home away from home now. These new units that's coming out today, they got dishwashers, they got their dryers, and they have microwaves, and I do not know how we're going to be able to give them, continue giving them service, because it would take 100 amp entrance, to meet all their requirements, and so we have to raise their rates, because they all have built-in air conditioners. They're coming through now with two air conditioners, and so we're not wired and to take offer all those facilities, and if we were to get rewired to give them all the power they need, we'd have to charge something like $30 a night just to meet expenses. This is what's killing me here is my electric bill. I believe last year it was something like $20,000, my light bill, and so you take a $20,000 light bill, a $13,000 tax, school and land tax, and the liabilities, running around $6,000 plus. When you have to put out, approximately $50,000 before you take in a nickel, you have to do as much yourself as you can without depending on hired help.
If a person comes for overnight, is he available to all the facilities?
Oh yes,
you can use the pool, the gazebo, the golf, anything.
Exactly.
You can use all the facilities.
Yeah, exactly. But so you have to think of other means on how to make it up without putting the costs on the overnighter. Like, for example, I'm thinking seriously of putting meters on the showers. Just my hot water alone, I do not, but they're going through an awful lot of gas this year for the hot water in the bathhouses, and they just go in there and let the water run, and there's nobody that dirty, that takes anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes to take a shower, and it's just to cool off. And this is the other problem we had this year with so much heat. People, turn on their air conditioners, and just pulls an awful lot of power. And
now the others, do they buy their own electricity, or is it furnished?
No, for the first time I'm putting in meters. I'll show you on the way by. Do. And the reason why I'm doing that is that you learn to know who's cheating, and who's over pulling, but they all want cheap rates. So what I tell them is that you be honest with me, I'll be honest with you. In my rates for the season is that you only use your lights and the necessities. But then when it comes to electric heat, air conditioning, or your electric frying pan, that's a no-no. That's why we have the pump station for gas. You do all your cooking and everything with gas. But I have those that do not abide by the rules, but I know who they are. So now I'm putting in meters, and after X amount of dollars, a fair price for a 3.5 kilowatt hours is all what an average camper should pull. And anything over that, they're cheating and they're taking advantage. And so, but like I said, they want a cheap, reasonable rate, but they're out there, over pulling power. So now I'm putting in meters, and I know who they are.
Okay. Now you see, you've got a porch built over there, pretty. That guy's going to be there next year.
Oh yes.
He's there all the time.
Yes.
Obviously, look at the size of that
deck
he's put on. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to walk along when the trees are out here too, and A beautiful day. It couldn't be a nicer day.
Yes,
huh?
perfect.
September
I'm glad you
1st.
canceled out yesterday. Yesterday would have been a bad
We
one.
were coming yesterday when it was pouring rain when I got up, and I called the Calvin. I said, "What do you think? We are going to do it all from inside. We want to see what he looks like outside,
That's
and
right.
whether he smiles outside, and he does."
Yes, yes. I'm sure.
We're talking with Sam as we're walking up, and some of the problems he has, and we're talking about the overnight rates, etc. And one of the problems you have is.
Well, destruction and people stealing, and as we're looking at the new shower head here, as you know, we're just going through the cycle of solid waste. And, just a few years ago, everybody was laughing at the barge going up and down, couldn't dump it. And we, those of us in rural areas, we were getting a kick out of it. Well, now we're faced with the same problem. It's costing us now to get rid of our garbage. And what I'm getting at is that within another 10, 15 years, they're going to be faced with the same reasoning with water because people are wasting it. So in order to conserve, I got, they're
As you know from seeing us before, batteries go, and it just went. You were talking about wasting water, and that you bought these new shower heads.
Yes, to conserve on the water. Of course, it's not only getting the water. Up here in the country, it's difficult to get rid of it because we do not have village sewer, so we have to depend on ground laterals to get rid of the water. So in order to comply and save, I got all these new type shower heads. Well, Gellies, would you believe the overnighters steal them? They're, as you look next door.
The one next door here is missing, yeah.
And so you know that they need wrenches, to do away with it. They'll walk off with your
light bulb. There's a light bulb got missing up there. There were two lights in here, and
even if it's tagged down, they'll walk away from it. And so this is the other reason, when the overnighters come in and they think your rates are a little bit high. Well, you got to have the rate up there, but unfortunately, the honest guy has got to pay the same price as the thief that comes in, and especially with the units that they're coming in now. Camping is not camping anymore. They're coming in with these large units with 2 air conditioners, microwaves, and they're pulling an awful lot of electricity. And you know what our rate is right now, 12 cents a kilowatt hour.
You lose any of your trash cans at all, too?
Trash cans that you would believe they've disappeared.
We also mentioned the floor. You're telling us about the floor with the grooves.
Oh, well, this was designed, I'm sure that, and you just come in on me,
Yep.
and you don't have any odor in here.
No.
And it was designed to keep the air of movement, and this is the way that we're able to eliminate any bad odor.
Even back when you were a teenager, and I was way back then, we didn't flush the toilets back then either, did we?
Well, we didn't have flush toilets. I know I didn't.
You didn't spend much time in the toilet. It got pretty cold.
Especially in the wintertime.
All right.
I'll never forget one morning through a sickness, making a dash. We always had the wood sheds, and then the outhouse was out beyond that, and Gellies, and it was in the spring because that's when the skunk season was coming. Didn't I come on face to face with a skunk and didn't know which way to go, and that's one that always stayed with me.
All right, we'll go back out. We're talking at the Ranchside Campgrounds in Ellenburg Corners, New York. Let's not forget the corners.
No, that's important.
We're at the west end of your lake, would you say?
Yes.
And on the north side.
Yes.
All right, so what are we looking at now here, and what can we see?
Well, you're looking at, we call it Lake Lynn. The year that I built the lake, she was born, my daughter Lynn, and so couldn't think of a better name to call it than Lake Lynn.
How deep does it get out there?
Well, it's 8 foot. It goes from nothing up to 8 feet.
8 feet in the middle.
Of course, when it was originally designed, they had me designed for a 10-foot spillway, but evidently at that time, they did a 100-year reading versus the 50-year reading when I built Lake Roxanne, and so within that 50 to 100-year span, they had a huge flooding, and of course you cannot flood your neighbor behind you or ahead of you, so I had to cut it down to 8 feet. But that still gives them enough water, and it gave me more land. I was disappointed at the time because I lost approximately 5 acres of area that I had already cleared that was going to be underwater. But now it's, I have campsites in there, and where if it would have been underwater, and they're enjoying themselves just as much.
As we look across here, Sam, I see some new ground underneath the trees. Is that something that you're doing or they're doing?
No. Well, what happened there? It was a brushy area, and then of course they looked at this side. How I was keeping my side over here, and of course it changed hands. It got a new buyer, and he had a little bit more ambition, and so he got in there and he cleared it out, and I just went over and pulled the stumps for him. But in a couple of weeks there, we'll have that all in greens.
You brought up a word there that confuses me. A new buyer.
A new owner, yes.
Owner of what?
Of that unit.
Oh, the unit.
Yeah,
okay, not the land.
No, just the unit.
It's pretty wide. They have a lot of land, don't they?
Yeah, well, like I said, the like a lot like that is approximately 75 by 75, but the yes, well, because of the embankment, And
do you have many items here, like many homes like this that are down here, and people don't come very much during the summer at all?
Just weekends, yes.
But there's some that don't come for some reason. They don't come very often.
Yeah, well, if sickness happens, like that's what happened here. The guy's wife was awfully sick, and he only spent probably a couple weekends last year.
If I own that second unit, and I left it here all year, and I want to reserve it,
yes,
I'm leaving here, or I take it and I bring it back. Is there any difference in the rent?
Well, if they want to still hold their lot, like we have some that goes to Florida in the wintertime, but like next month, today's the 1st, they have to put down their $75 deposit if they want to keep their lot for next year.
So if the lot is the same, whether I leave my trailer on it all winter or if I don't, it's still the same rate for the year?
Yeah, okay. But that keeps their lot. Their lot is there when they come back.
They pay by the year or by the month?
By the year.
By the year.
Yeah.
All right. They get a year's. They ask you have to have a year lease.
Exactly.
Any of these permanent ones.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah. You see, right across, of course, is the beach.
Yes, you'll get a better shot of it when you get over on the other side.
On the other side, but that just shows you that anybody in the development here can
has access
to the.
Exactly.
A lot of swimmers use it. Or do they use the pool?
Well, the pool. But what they like to do, they have the little inflatable boats, the plastic boat or canoes, and they just like to raft around and
Okay. As we going to go into the next section, I guess there's a bridge here with a roof on it, covered bridge. I thought maybe this part of your property went out onto the other road directly. It doesn't.
No.
The only one entrance is here.
No, I have, but I have gates. There's no way I'd be able to control it if I let people in from all directions.
Okay, so they just come in the one through the front.
Exactly,
Okay.
and we know who's here and who's not.
Okay. Now, you don't charge for people to come in to visit?
Oh, yes.
You do?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they use facility. They use your bathroom.
Tell us about that. All right.
Oh, yeah. No, it's $2 a day because of
the fact... For the car?
And the person, yeah.
And but if there's 3 people, 4 people, still $2?
Yeah, if they're over 7 years of age.
Oh, okay, we were talking with, wait, no, you mean it's not $2 for each person?
Yes.
It is, okay.
Over 7 years of age, yeah.
All right, so that's because they're using facilities,
the pools,
water, the pools, everything else.
Yes, the toilet paper.
To be fair.
Would you believe our paper products is one of our highest costs?
Yes, I would think so, yes. You,
in several, they'll just take off with a whole roll of toilet paper.
Well, that happens too, huh? Yeah. It's surprising that people...
Oh, if you had honest people, you could have better rates.
It's very surprising when you... Now here, as we look, you see the river here before it gets to the lake.
This is the Great Chazy River, yeah.
The Great Chazy, it comes down through Champlain.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. This is the same,
Yes, and you can see
that. This is why it was so difficult for me to get the permit, because of the Great Chazy River. The only reason I was able to get the permit was that that was an existing dam. They had a foundry there at one time. So I was able to say all that I wanted to do was replace the old log dam.
Now this water with along here, the rocks, that was done by the person who lives there? Or did you do that right here?
No, he just did that himself. It was that at one time, but last spring, we had that last snowstorm.
Yes.
And it flooded me all out back here, and I lost all that. And so we're just rebuilding. I had to rebuild. I lost my road. And,
you know what I'm getting out of what you're telling me, and I'm surprised that this is not all profit.
Oh, no.
Huh?
Long way from profit.
It's not all profit.
Oh, if I didn't own all my equipment and able to operate it and do it myself.
Well, wait. And Marie can also operate that equipment.
Ourselves.
But she runs those equipments too,
huh?
Oh,
yes.
I'll tell you, if you didn't have a spouse that was as willing to work as you just couldn't do it, right?
Kiss it goodbye. No, it takes 2.
And I got the impression that, except for your daughter who was in the snack bar, he said the others were never really interested in it.
Not after they...
Maybe they worked too hard when they were young in it, huh?
Exactly. Night and day. No, they worked there 12, 14 hours a day.
Yep, way back, but
Yep.
they're not interested in it, so that you're not saving it for them, so to speak,
No. Well, that was the intention, but, they have their own... own profession now.
Yeah, but it's very hard to intend for your children, isn't it?
Well, like everybody else now, they want to just put in their 5 days, 40-hour week, get their vacation, and I can't blame them. In no way would I push them into it, because I'd probably give it the second thought if I was to do it over again. I don't know.
Okay, well, Calvin's getting out there, and we're going to be going across the bridge. I guess we're going to walk down this other side toward the beach.
Tell us about the roads.
What's that? Oh, the road, yes. Tell us about the road.
Oh, yeah. As you'll notice, it's all the ore screening sand that comes from Lime Mountain. And that's a 12-mile one-way, so that's 24 miles a trip. And
to get one truckload,
To get one truckload, and I got approximately 3 miles of roads here, and so just my roads alone is a costly thing, and this is another cost. The more traffic over the road, the more maintenance. Right after a big, like I see yesterday, you just looked above there. I see where I got to wash out.
Yeah, the water comes running down when it comes down real quick.
And the more traffic, the more wear and tear, especially when it's wet, and so you have to take all this into cost,
Well, if you were talking with me earlier about one of the reasons why you're not a 5-star or something, because it's not all paved going through it. I think there's a certain mystique about having dirt rather than it looks more campy for me anyway.
But the main reason for not having it blacktop is that we're having problem with speeders now. As you notice, I had to put in some speed bumps, and they just come through here 30, 40 miles an hour, even with dirt roads. And
they sometimes forget. I don't think they do it deliberately all the time, but you notice that sign just across there on the curve? Dead end, but it means 5 miles per hour. And whenever you are visiting this or any other campsite, keep in mind 5 miles an hour. That's something, because if you hit some child or somebody hit your child and he said I was going slow, you weren't going slow enough.
Exactly. And with the way regardless of liability, just respect the children, and this is what these places are all about. If it wouldn't be for the kids, you wouldn't get the parents. And
now are these as permanent in this area?
Yes.
Just as permanent.
Exactly.
Huh? We have a little building back there.
Yeah, to keep their lawnmowers.
Well, how far do these people come from who are staying here?
Ontario, mainly from Montreal,
You have a lot more Canadians than you do Americans?
I think I got 2 Americans.
Rest of them are Canadian.
Exactly. That's why I say, if it wouldn't be for the Canadians, kiss it goodbye. Not only in my business, but on the county level, just going through the sales tax revenue for last year. The real property tax was approximately 12 million, where our sales tax was 23 million. So the message that we want to get across is that if it wouldn't be for our Canadian customers here, those of us who are complaining, as well as myself, with the high cost of our property tax, we could just double it if we didn't have that sales tax.
Canadian customers and friends.
Exactly.
Canadian friends that come down here. And remember one more thing. When they pay a $14 a night overcharge, they give a $20 Canadian bill, and it's all gone.
Exactly.
Right? With the conversion.
Yeah, and this is the problem we're faced with this year with the 30% currency. And so they're not spending, and of course they're having their problems like we are, economically. And this is why I'm opposed to that bed tax. You get that 30% currency exchange right away. You put their 7 cents sales tax on top of that. Now, if you were to add their 2% bed tax, I mean, jeepers, they'd have no incentive to come over here. And we got to work with these Canadian customers. They're the ones that's keeping us alive over here.
You see this right here? That is put there because Marie said that the only way you can cut Sam off is to do that and tighten it, and that will stop him right there. She does it all the time in the house.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to believe, Sam, that one person can keep track of all that there is here, like yourself.
Yeah, well,
very, very difficult.
It's like the wrestler. Whenever I'm asked that, I relate to this guy. Remember when they used to come down and hold their wrestlings here in Plattsburgh, and they had this one guy that would climb the ladder with the horse strapped onto his back.
No.
No, you don't remember that. Well, anyway, I had a little talk with him one day and asked him how he got to do that, and he said, well, when the horse was born, it only weighed 95 pounds,
yep.
and so every day he would take it, and
Yep.
so the horse was trained as well as he was, and so what I guess what I want to say is that each day you developed it, you built it, you know where it is, and I guess I don't think that a new owner could come in and just take on all the responsibility. And
Probably
do it,
wouldn't want to either.
Wouldn't want to, probably.
We're going to walk across. Thanks for tuning in to Hometown Cable. We're at the Ranchside Park Campgrounds in Ellenburg Corners. It's also known as just plain old Ellenburg.
Yes.
We're just outside the zoo here. What do we got here, Sam Trombley?
Well, we have some fowl deer here. Of course, we cut down a little bit on them. I was getting more deer than all what's needed is a couple or three, like you see here, to entertain the kids, and they like to feed them apples and what have you. And while they're feeding them apples, they're playing with them. They're not getting into mischief,
Mm-hmm.
And
so where do you get your deer? You buy there are places you can buy deer?
Yeah, well, yes, of course, deer right now is a delicacy, and as you know, they have deer farms now.
Yes.
And hospitals are paying big monies for Vincent because of the cholesterol. Vincent is low in cholesterol, and so that's why the fowl deer got to be a popular deer. But at the time that I bought these, I bought them from a guy from New Jersey that had a deer farm down here at where you told me where you were down taking pictures of
drowned.
Yes. Yeah. And so what he had, he'd charge a fee, and the guys would go in and they were guaranteed a deer, through hunting season. And so I didn't have any money at that time, and the guy didn't have any money to build a road, for the hunters to go in. So we made a swap. I went in and I built him his road, and I got a fawn and a doe and a buck, and but I unloaded last year. Matter of fact, Mr. Drown down in Moore's bought 5 of my deer a year ago.
Yeah. So they stayed here all winter, right?
All winter, yes. I come up and feed them every day, and
okay. That's another part of the park here in Ellenburg.
Yeah.
We're across the river or the lake, whatever, both of them, and we're on the beach area. And you see the ducks. A couple of people coming down. A couple coming down to see the ducks. Just did a little 360 for Calvin on the camera. And we see a little rut through the middle of your beach here. Now, that's runoff from yesterday?
From last night's storm. This is the first time I've been here since the storm last night. And so this is another example of, of the maintenance, unexpected maintenance. Like, see, I'll have to come back in here now and get some nice wash sand and replace that.
Now, if you got to buy that sand and it costs $20, that's $20 you didn't expect to spend because you didn't know you were going to have that rain last night.
You said $20. Just last week I went down to get a load of, it wasn't even a load, it was 6 ton of wash sand, and it cost me $116. That's at the quarry, and then I had
Is that right?
Yeah.
And just, that's, and that's got to come out, that all comes out of this year's profit because you expected that to be profit this year.
Exactly.
You didn't expect this.
This tornado, no.
No, and it just came quick, very quick last night.
And then I lost some umbrellas on the pool that I didn't get down before the storm moved in.
Do people favor the water side camping? Huh?
Oh, yeah. Like if you were to go where this gentleman is there, you'll see where he built a nice stone retaining wall.
Look at he's got a beautiful spot there.
They take pride in their lot. Yeah.
And you said, most of the people here are Canadian.
Yep.
They getting out of that city, they come down here and just are willing to just sit, right?
Exactly. Glad you brought that up. I said when they'll come up all through winter when it's 20, 30 below zero and snowshoeing or skiing, I asked, I said, gee, things has got to be real bad in the city, to come up. And so one guy stopped me last year on the way by. He says, come on in. And so I went in. He said, I want to show you my tub. He said, I want you to know I take a bath twice a day. He said, I just took one this morning before going into work. He said, I just took one now. And he had a yellow ring all the way around the tub. And he said, and I sit inside of an office. And so he said that means that the soot is going through the buildings. And that's why they're up here, is to get the nice fresh air. And
Now, we're looking across here. That's a big electric wire going across there.
Yeah, well, it's holding up my my water line. I pushed the water across through that.
Okay, so there's
inch and a
no
half.
well over here. You push the
I
well
push it from over, yeah.
from over there over here.
Yeah. You have to try to eliminate what I have is storage tanks. The more wells you have, the more problem you have because you've got to chlorinate all the water, and you know the chlorinators are a lot of maintenance. I don't know if it's because of the chlorine. Just this past week, I had to purchase 2 more new chlorinators. So the less wells you have coming from one source. Right here, I got three wells that's furnishing, but I would like to have one over here, but it would mean not much more paperwork and testing. And
Now, you have a cable that's
holding,
to hold it up, right?
Yeah.
Now, how many different meters do you have when you come in?
Oh my God.
mean,
Power meter?
Yes. I mean, what I mean is, if we blow a fuse, how many people are out?
Well, there's 7 per breaker.
Okay, 7 per breaker.
5 to 7 per breaker. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that a big problem?
Oh yes, especially this summer, so much heat. Everybody wanted to pull
air conditioning.
Yeah. Not my seasonal so much because they know, but the overnighters. This is why I'm thinking very seriously of probably doing away with the overnighters. It costs too much money to keep them in.
Do you have any space available now, or did you have during the summer for permanents?
For permit? Oh yes.
There was space left?
Oh yeah, but I'm not pushing it. You know, if they come, I'm not refusing them. But we've got all what we can handle. There's just Marie and I, and especially the last 3 weeks of her being sick. We're not pushing it.
You noticed though you had a name for those 2 cement abutments. What did you call those?
Wing walls.
Wing walls. Right. We were standing on that one on the left earlier when we were talking about the suspension bridge he's going to put up. That's where we were. We've gone completely around.
Yeah.
And we're going to walk down, I guess, and see the first fish ladder in the county?
In Region 5
in
at that
Region
time.
5.
Now, you know, Georgia Pacific, I believe, built theirs a year ago. But,
Okay.
But like I said, DEC, Charlie McCartney, will tell you that...
that's not Channel 5, that's Region 5.
Region 5.
Right.
What did I say,
I
Channel?
said Channel 5.
Oh,
no,
no,
because we
region.
have a Channel 5.
Yeah.